The NFL draft is done and over, and I am going to be breaking down each and every team and grading out their draft. So check back every day, because one team I will do every single day, and I'll have it up here on YouTube for you to watch. We'll go over every prospect that they drafted, as well as some key undrafted free agents that they may bring in. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section, and I'll be sure to address them for you. Also, just be aware on my draft grades, no one fails the draft, especially right after it. Even no one in this draft is going to get a D or an F from me, because everyone had a talent. Everyone did something. So if you think the grades are a little bit high, that's just me not going to too much extremes. And maybe in 3 or 4 years, when we look back on this draft, then we can see who really succeeded and who really failed. So sit back, relax, enjoy me as I break down every single team this year. The draft expert, Shane Hallam, shows off his knowledge. Writing mock drafts, prospects from the best college. Breaking down tape, he might develop a man crush. Tearing up guys, taking questions in a rush. Comparisons, learning lessons, Shane saves the day, oy vey. Hulk or Banner, doesn't matter. Listen, cause here's who can play. Alright everyone, today we're going to go over the New Orleans Saints Super Bowl champs. How did their draft turn out? Well, picking at 32, it's always tough to have a great draft. Usually if you win the Super Bowl, you're not going to get an A draft just because of the position where you pick. Now, the Saints had some areas they needed to address. Linebacker, still a big concern, has been a concern for this team for a while, especially outside linebacker. Maybe they could have addressed the secondary, defensive end, improve that defense a little bit. And they did that. At 32, they took Patrick Robinson, cornerback out of Florida State. This was a guy that the Vikings moved down into the second, hoping that they would get, but the Saints scooped him up. And a lot of people question this pick after taking a corner last year, Malcolm Jenkins. Jenkins is probably going to move to free safety behind Darren Sharper, learn that position so he can take over later. And Patrick Robinson is a high upside player, great athleticism. I mean, he can run on a dime, explosive, changes direction well. But similar to another Florida State corner, Antonio Cromartie, he just isn't very polished. He doesn't tackle well, especially up in the run game, and he's not a guy that covers all that well. You know, he has lapses in his mental judgment. He has lapses where he can get fooled on certain routes and not able to cover the receiver, so he's going to need some work. But all in all, this is a type of corner that the Saints don't have. They don't have someone with this extreme athleticism. They have really solid corners, but they don't have a guy that can be great, and Patrick Robinson has that potential, at least. In the second, you got Charles Brown, offensive tackle from USC. I thought this was a good value pick. There is some question of position, and is it a need? Because you have Jamal Brown there, who got hurt last year. You know, and you brought in Charles Brown now as kind of your third left tackle. And there's really not another position that Charles Brown can play. So I want to see how this works out. There were some talks about them trading Jamal Brown, and that way Charlie Brown could be someone he could develop as a left tackle. So we'll see what happens with that. I like the pick. I like the value because I think he's a great pass protector. I think he can fit this offensive line really, really well. So we'll see about that. In the third, then they have Jimmy Graham, tight end from Miami. And I really like this pick. I knew that the Saints were going to address tight end at some point. They really made that known. They were looking to get a future tight end. I think Jimmy Graham is one of the best you can get, especially another guy from the Miami you have behind Jeremy Shockey, can learn from him. Graham, a basketball player at the U, and he played his first really year of organized college football last year and did pretty well. Big red zone threat, huge kid, great hands. He's a hard worker. This is going to be his focus. You know, he gave up money to play in Europe, to play college football at Miami. So you got to like that dedication as well. I think that Sean Payton can do a lot of things with Jimmy Graham, and I really like Jimmy Graham to make an impact in year one even as he develops. In the fourth, they got Al Woods, defensive tackle from LSU. I thought this was a solid pick. I think this is about where Al Woods should have went. He's someone that didn't live up to the hype that he came into LSU with. Had some injury issues, had some issues in terms of work ethic. Motor is a big question mark, but in the offseason looked really good in the All-Star games and at the Combine. Looked like he could play defensive tackle. So I think this is a position that the Saints needed. They needed another defensive tackle to put in that rotation because it was a weak position. So I like the pick. I don't love the pick. I think there may have been other defensive tackles on the board, other ways to go, but I think Woods has some upside there, so I like that. The fifth, they got Matt Tennant, center out of Boston College. I like this pick as well. I think Matt Tennant is a player that you'll watch on tape, and you always see him get a push. Look, he's not great. He's not going to be a Hall of Fame center, but he can be a starter in the NFL, and he snaps the ball well. He's a good leader at the offensive line. You know, he gets people on their assignments, does it correctly at Boston College, and he always gets a push. You always see him get a push. He's not going to knock guys over. He's not going to pancake a guy, but he's always going to move him forward, and that's what I want. That's what I want from a center, so I really like that pick too. And then seventh, they got Sean Canfield, quarterback from Oregon State. One guy I've talked about a little bit, had a great season this year after nearly being benched. Had a very bad bowl game, a terrible offseason. That's why he fell to the seventh. But I think he has the tools to back up Drew Brees and be an NFL backup. So I like this pick for them as well. It's a position in need. All in all, I give the Saints a B. I like a lot of their later picks. I don't love the Patrick Robinson pick. Yes, he has high upside. Yes, I think it's something the Saints did need. But if he doesn't develop, this draft isn't going to look very good. And I think it's going to be tough for Patrick Robinson to develop into a consistent starting NFL corner. I think he just lacks too much physicality. He just lacks the tools that you need to be good. He has the athleticism. He'll make plays. Maybe he makes a ton of plays and it looks great. But like Antonio Cromartie, there will come times when he could lose you games in tough situations where he could have made a play, and he doesn't do it. And so I just wonder about that pick. I'm not a huge Patrick Robinson fan. Give him a B for that. You know, I like Charles Brown. Was a position in need. We'll see what they do with their offensive line. Jimmy Graham, Matt Woods, Matt Tennant, and Sean Canfield. I like all those picks as well. In terms of undrafted free agents, there are a couple guys that caught my eye. Junior Gillette, defensive end, probably can convert to outside linebacker from Stillman. Highly athletic kid. Came in Texas versus the Nation. Played really well. He's more of a pass rusher and is very good at that. So I want to see if he does anything. And then Harry Coleman, the safety from LSU. Get the local kid. Bring in Harry Coleman. And he's someone that can do everything well. A good special teams player. And maybe if that's something New Orleans is looking for, they could have gotten it with him. So there you go. There's New Orleans Saints. Come back tomorrow. Keep going with the NFC.